Scrum Squad, let's kill a queen.
Let's get ready to rumble!
No, Jova, no!
Dweebs,
Well,
it's
Dweebs,
supposed
we're
to
not
populate.
anymore on the submarine, so even the rumbling does not really
Today,
affect us.
today, the Locust monarchy falls.
Oh yeah. Granted, we'll still have the Lambents to deal with, but at least the Locusts will be out of the picture.
Yeah, but the Locust Queen kidnapped Adam, which means it's personal.
Priorities,
It's personal.
personal.
Yeah.
Alright, okay, not to worry, guys. I have thought about this long and hard, and I believe I have a plan.
Oh no.
But hear me out. Alright, well, first of all, we have to make sure that we conserve as much ammo as we possibly can. Make sure to hit the enemy in sensitive targets so that we don't use as many bullets to kill them. We need all those bullets to face the queen at the end.
So treat this like a Resident Evil game. Got it.
Well, there's another plan as well, if that doesn't... Well, I've got a backup plan in case that doesn't work.
Run and gun.
Yes, but I also have a plan C. I've after researching one of the corpses of the monsters that we killed, I managed to create a lifelike suit of one of the creatures that we can disguise ourselves as and kill the queen from within when she least
We already
suspects
tried
it.
that shit in Gears 2. Not only was technically done with content, but even when tried, we couldn't get that much near our Locusts before being busted. So no, not a viable option.
Well, in that case, I have a plan D.
Also, everybody's like,
just
so...
run away and kiss our ass goodbye.
I love the characters turn to each other. We're like, so you wanna get a taco after this?
Dwebs, to quote Bill from The Last of Us, sorry Dwebs, that was plan A, B, all the way to fucking Z. You're done. So... Alright.
Okay.
Basically, I was waiting, I'm trying my best to not get detected as much as possible. But again, it's one of those cases where the stealth mechanics in these games have never been the best.
They've really dug in. Definitely setting up Grub HQ.
Great.
And next train will arrive in
Oh shit, they noticed.
I mean, they tried to improve it in 5, where in 5 they added a stealth kill, finally. But it doesn't work as well as you'd think.
Does it finally give a useful, a useful purpose to the knife?
It does, yes.
And there's that then.
The problem there is that it doesn't work as well because yes, you have to get close to the enemy. The problem is it's almost impossible to manage to do that very frequently because unlike other games of this ilk, they don't implement tall grass, they don't implement any sort of stealth-related environmental objects that you can use. You just
I guess the enemy placement is made it so basically, sure, it is a available option, but you can exploit it to clear a room completely in silence.
I've tried various times here in Gears 5 to try to stealth kill my way through, like I do in Uncharted 4. I wasn't able to because...
that's what I mean. I guess the game, the coalition designed it so yes, you can take advantage and clear a couple of enemies, but for the rest of them, you will still have to do that the old-fashioned way. You can't just rely on stealth forever.
I guess it's just that personally,
considering the series is all technically about ultra-violence as well, I think I can get the thought process.
I guess, but at the same time, if they had gone through with the stealth, they could have used the stealth to enhance the horror aspect. Like if they implemented, if they made the monsters really scary. Yeah.
Or an enemy you can't kill normally unless surprised by stealth, I guess.
Yeah. That would add the tension and bring back the horror-like atmosphere. That's the thing. I think they could have done something akin to what Uncharted 4 did, where you can choose to stealth kill your way through, but if you're someone like Dwebs, you can still do it the old-fashioned way. So those who don't really care for stealth can just completely ignore it, Or maybe, yeah, do exactly like you just said. Maybe you can also include some enemies that can only be killed by stealth to add tension. You know, like, and that's my thing. Like, it feels like there's something missing. Like, okay, there's a stealth kill move, but it feels like
prototype of a real mechanic.
yeah, it feels like there's something missing. Like they added that, but it didn't also add other stealth-like mechanics to complement it. You know, okay, like let me put it like this, in a way that you'll understand. You know how, you know? Oh, hold on, he's broke. Never mind, I'll wait then. It boils down to the fact that I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm so used to Uncharted, but it just feels like that should have been the way they could have. Okay. If you didn't want to, I'm okay with not having stealth. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that these games need stealth. If you don't want to have stealth in these games, by all means, don't put it. It's not a requirement. It's just that if you're gonna put a stealth kill in, and the game even tells you, like the game even has moments where the characters flat out tell you, don't worry, we'll stay here in case you get detected. So the game is clearly telling me that it's encouraging me to try stealth, but it doesn't really give me the necessary tools. At least in my opinion, it doesn't.
Well, I guess we'll have to see when the game actually we get to the game. Well, unless to me, when it comes to stealth, unless the game focus entirely on like the main gimmick because your character like is naturally fragile, or it is best to take enemies out like that, like in Metal Gear Solid, or even the other Metal Gear games that are not more proper in your face one, like Acid or Rising Revengeance. Unless it's a case like that, I can get the idea that stealth can help you, but can only get you so far. You have to finish the work properly. It's similar in a way to how you customize, quote-unquote, the Airbuster boss fight for the Final Fantasy VII Remake. You can do it, sure, but you can't disable it completely. You will still have to, you know, quote-unquote, sacrifice part of it and still fight properly whatever remains. I get the idea behind it. It's but I guess I'll have to see how Gears 5 does that, and because, for example, another game that implements a new way of stealth killing in a future title, but I think does it fair enough without you still abusing it, is The Evil Within 2. Watch Nitro Red's review about it because he actually loves that kind of mechanic. Oh,
all right, cousin.
Anya to Cole, over.
The radio's screwed until we shut down the maelstrom.
yeah, I can imagine that.
Figures.
Anya!
Oh,
Oh, it's a good thing you did. Hey, Adam.
Can you hear me?
Professor! Yes, we hear you.
Thank God. Prescott found you. Can you see the security camera?
say hi, smile, it's Candy Camera.
There it is.
see us, Professor?
Anya? Oh, you've changed. Where's Marcus? Did Marcus make it?
Family reunion.
We've come to get you out. It's
That's the look of a dad who hasn't seen his son in a while.
Bad
Oh.
timing. Well, to be fair, he doesn't know, so
Where are you?
yeah.
I'm locked in my laboratory in the hotel tower. I need you to get me out so I can deploy the countermeasure. I'm running out of time, Marcus.
We'll deal with the grubs, Dad. Hang in there.
Boy,
No,
Marcus's
I need the
dad
emotion,
definitely aged
the
over time, I can see that.
It's about
He
to
looks
reach a
like
critical
Dr.
stage
X from
in its life
Action
cycle.
Man.
I've got to destroy it before it matures and wipes out all life on Sarah.
You lost me at life cycle.
Marcus. It's a living organism.
Oh.
It's turning everything lambent, including us.
Yeah, we saw that
So you
on.
can kill it.
Yes,
Yep.
that's it, exactly.
So, surprise, it
Pedro
turns
wants me
out
to
the
have
virus
countermeasure
is
to kill
actually a
it
living
without harming the
being.
Locust. But there's no time left for that.
We need to shut down.
So there you go. That's
I got time for this.
so there you go. That's why Queen Mira kidnapped him. She needed him.
Facility.
This is the only one who the knowledge to get this done.
Blocked.
We need to bypass.
If we can take care of that, we can deal with the Lambents as well.
I can open the door for you from here.
Well, for now, let's just see if we
I
can.
get the feeling it's not going to be that simple.
Well, Dwebs, it wouldn't be much of an exciting climax if it was simple. Now would it?
Pretty much we're at the final stage.
Again, it's the same argument that I gave you with Dr. House episodes. If the disease was easy to figure out, it wouldn't make for a very interesting episode now, would it?
It's kind of like, in a show like Dr. House, we're not seeing his normal days because, well, those are boring compared to the actual plots of the episodes.
Well, I mean, just because as I know I've mentioned this before. It's the best example I can think of. The one of the reasons why I'm not not a huge fan of the last episode of Series 7 wasn't just the stupid ending of the episode, was that the case itself was just boring.
Well,
that too was a illness that was hard to figure out.
The finale of season 7 has way bigger problems than simplicity versus complexity. To be honest,
I take executive handling.
Yeah, there was a lot of it. Season 7 was heavily hampered by executive handling too, but that's all I'll say for now.
Let me guess. BS ending that had no right occurring the way it did.
No, exactly. Because basically, Jova, actors leaving and the writers weren't able to. Basically, writers left and the writers weren't really counting with that when originally writing the stories, so they had to, on the fly, create excuses for why the characters are now suddenly not on the show. So it was a mess. It was a mess, basically.
How did the show recover from that?
Well, I really enjoyed season 8.
Yeah, they managed to turn it around with a very solid. To give you an idea, Jova, guess what?
They sent Dr. House in space.
Here's something you'll find interesting, Jova. And one of the new doctors working for House in season 8 is an actress from Steven Universe. So.
Oh, isn't she the one who plays Ruby?
Yeah.
Isn't she? Oh no, Ruby. Okay, I got confused for a second. Now, anyway, let me mention this quickly since I noticed that. I was mentioning only off screen since I checked it out, but I might as well mention it now. Marcus' father, Adam, is actually voiced by Peter Renade, which I'm surprised. He's actually a very old person. Was born in 1935, so he's rocking in his 80s, 85, 84 currently. He's about to make 85 at the time we're recording. His birthday is June 9th. But he has, as you can imagine, he has an extensive career both for films, television, and video games. Some of the highlights that I managed to find is that, guess what, Pedro? He's included amongst the additional voice actors for Lightning Returns.
Well, practically every voice actor under the sun voiced something for that game.
But it's just for Lightning Returns, not even Final Fantasy 13 2 or the 7 remake. No, it's just Lightning Returns. But
maybe that was the problem. They spent so much money on the voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
He also worked with the period where Level 5 was working with Sony, at least partially, because he was a couple of one supporting character in Rogue Galaxy and another one in Jeanne d'Arc. He also, but his most noticeable role is Splinter in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's great because I love him as Splinter.
Dad, are you still
Don't get me wrong, Internet. I have no problem with Mako. I just don't think his voice for Splinter was very good.
I mean,
it also was like one of his last roles before he died.
Is Mako even remembered as one of the definitive voices of Splinter?
I think it was just like a one-moment career.
Well, I'm only saying it to Joa because apparently the internet gets angry if we dare to say something that's not super positive about Mako. So
I feel like the internet has grown out of that. I mean, okay, now that's
it was just for the sake of a gag against the Doug Walker back in the day.
All right.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, it's interesting as well because of all actors to voice Splinter that I've heard of, the last person I expect to voice him is bloody Monk.
Well,
Tony Shalhoub.
No, well, here's the thing. I can see what they were going with because Mako. They probably cast him because of his role in Avatar. The problem is, Yes,
Wait,
Michael.
was Avatar even a thing when that TMNT
Yes,
movie was made?
2005, 2006, Java.
2007. that
Oh,
movie came out.
right.
The movie came out.
The
Yeah,
TMNT was 2007.
the movie came out in 2007. The TMNT 2007 movie came out in the year that I just mentioned, and Avatar started in 2005. So by that time, he was already a prominent role.
Keep in mind also, Java, the 2007 movie is literally the only case where Mako voiced Splinter. It was literally just casting a celebrity, iconic celebrity for the role.
Like I said,
And also to be fair,
we
Pedro,
learn-
sometimes films or games or whatever with a year in the title doesn't always mean it's going to come out that year. Remember Hong Kong '97?
No. The movie itself is not called 2007. It's just that
We just remember it as that because
we call it TMNT 2007 to make it incredibly clear which TMNT version we're talking about. Kind of like we call it Sonic
like how
the
we call
Hedgehog, Sonic
Sonic
06.
06.
Exactly. It makes it easier because the movie's just called TMNT. Okay, but TMNT stands for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so it doesn't really narrow that. It doesn't narrow that. It doesn't narrow down which specific iteration of the franchise we're talking about. So fans came up with their own version of a nickname to call it to make it easier. Again, Sonic 06.
An incredibly common thing.
Yeah.
But guys, let's not forget, as Fallonhearts told us, turns out TMNT 2007 is both a sequel to the 2003 show, but also
and the live-action movies.
Yes, it's apparently also a sequel to the live-action movies. To the point where it even references freaking Turtles Free of
which severely alienated 80s show fans like me because I had no idea what the fuck was going on in that movie. And then when I learned that, okay.
I'll admit, back when back when that movie was a thing, I was having trouble figuring, okay, the way the advertising was, I thought it looked like a live-action adaptation just with CGI in. Now I get that it's a full-on CGI movie, but man, the marketing of that movie was weird.
Yeah, the market. This is the big problem.
I haven't seen TMNT 2007, but if it's anything like the Ratchet and Clank movie that the guy also made,
let me put it like this.
No. Oh, it's far better than that. Okay, let me put it like this. TMNT 2007 is not necessarily a horrible movie. But by God, you better go in there knowing your lore, or you are going to be so goddamn confused.
Not just like Ratchet and Clank, then.
Not just
But
that.
that's the problem. The Ratchet and Clank movie was supposed to be the origin story. How did they fuck up?
This is the thing.
The Ratchet and Clank, the movie was just bad from the get-go. Like, it was a bad adaptation of a video game that was supposed to be the origin. Like, you'd think that the movie would actually be able to tell the story better, but nope. Never mind the fact that they had the perfect template with the movie to the point where some people argue that they literally are just taking cutscenes from the reimagining to there.
Actually, I thought it was like the opposite. For the reimagining, they used some cutscenes from the movie.
Both the reimagining and the movie were produced at the same time.
This is also the reason why Universal can have, back in the day, at least copyright claimed a lot of Ratchet and Clank PS4 playthroughs because it included cutscenes for the movie, apparently.
Yeah.
Even though it shouldn't be involved, I don't get it why, but whatever.
Curious, which do you think is better, the original the original Ratchet and Clank or the reimagining?
I haven't played it yet, but from what I heard, the reimagining of a PS4, at least for the video game, it is technically just the original game upscaled, with new weapons.
I'm gonna say this. I kind of prefer the original.
Same.
The original, I felt, had a better plot here. Trust me, it's a lot easier to explain when you've seen the two in
It's
context.
like this. The 2016 reimagining has better gameplay because it includes all the refinements we saw in the PS3 generation. It's just that in terms of the writing, for example, I don't. Okay, yes, it's true.
It feels too safe.
I get it. I think they softened Ratchet a bit too much for me. Yeah, okay, I get it.
Way too much.
I get that Ratchet could be kind of a dick sometimes in the first game. I get that. But I still think turning him into a complete goody two-shoes Boy Scout wasn't the solution, if you ask me. Like, his characterization in the reimagining feels a bit bland to me. He's just kind of a generic hero, you know?
Think about it like this. They turned Ratchet, a rather spunky character whose spunkiness was balanced out by Clank's more a gentleman-like behavior, into more just a bright-eyed, naive guy who wants to be the hero and all that. And like Pedro said, he's pretty much a goody two-shoes, therefore taking out a lot of the nuance that helped him and Clank's relationship from the get-go. Clank, and if I'm to be honest, Clank feels a bit more bland in the reimagining.
So actually, there's actually something that I'm curious about. Did they actually fix Clank's origin story to be more in tune with what it said in A Crank in Time and the Tools of Destruction? Because here's the thing for those who don't know. The first game did establish what supposedly was the origin story for Clank. He's essentially part of a series of minor robots that essentially got implanted with a different AI from his mother creator thingy, AI, for the purpose of, helping the systems, saving them from the villain of the first game. But then Tools of Destruction and A Crank in Time retconned this in order to say that Clank was secretly manipulated by a specific alien race connected to the time vortex mechanism.
Although the problem with the movie is that whereas with the video game, it was easier to ignore it was easier to ignore the story in the game because the gameplay was a lot of fun. Whereas in the movie, which is a movie, it's kind of supposed to rely on story.
It's
that's the thing, though.
It wasn't.
Remember, Teo, the game is supposed to be a reboot, so it technically.
That's what I'm curious about.
Tio's asking if they made Clank's backstory to be consistent with the retcons that were made in that later game.
Because that would be my thought process. We're basically remaking the first game, but we're keeping in consideration stuff that happened in future titles. Let's kill two birds with one stone, and bridge the gap between the two plot points we have established in order to make it less jarring.
They kind of did a balance of the two. Like, they kept some elements from the original, some elements from. It's kind of complicated without getting into spoilers.
Well, whatever. I'll still have to play it myself at some point.
The main thing is if you're really into Ratchet and Clank for the lore here, you might get disappointed with the reimagining. Well, okay, assuming that
Well, I can imagine it's a situation similar to Crash Insane and Spyro Ignite.
It
doesn't diverge too much from
it's very reminiscent. The reimagining in general feels very reminiscent of the post-Crack in Time Ratchet games to me, because I've always felt that the series after Crack in Time kind of ran out of steam to me in a lot of ways. Don't get me wrong, the following games were fine. It's just that
I think Nexus it could be a decent conclusion, but it just needed to be a bit longer, just a bit, at least.
It always felt to me that after Crack in Time, I'm actually kind of glad that Insomniac has now found something different to focus on, because I think Ratchet deserves a break, kind of.
They already said that they're already having an A and B team. One is doing Spider-Man, the other Ratchet and Clank.
Alright, that's fine then.
It's similar to how I'm back here. The Killzone developers now is hiring new people to have an A and B team. One that's doing Horizon and the other doing something else.
I just hope when they I'm guessing the next one is going to be a reimagining of 2. I'm guessing.
If there will be another reimagining, it's
or
weird.
they will just continue the series altogether. I don't know. Honestly, to me, the one positive thing about Ratchet and Clank is that, yes, the future trilogy tried to have a more quote-unquote consistent, tight storytelling with the quest of Ratchet to find his race, but the universe in Ratchet and Clank is so big and vast that they can take the Futurama approach and have each title, sort of an anthology, having each title simply put self-contained and say, yes, this is still after the events of these particular games, but we're doing whatever we want because space is big, there's literally no limit.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
But no, it also didn't help for the actual movie that in my country there was a couple of executive mandates, but probably Sony Italy fucked up because the series at this point had consistent, great voice actors. But here's the problem. Those were of the School of Milan, which I kept mentioning in the past, is the one that's usually assigned for video games because they're one of the cheaper guys to do. They're not bad voice actors by default, but they are the cheaper option. Anyway, Blackout.
I think the best way. Oh, sorry.
Hold on, Jova.
We need to find a way up.
Oh, I'll mention this after the dialogue.
There's an elevator at the back.
Okay, I see it.
All right then.
But the movie instead, since it had a higher production budget, was instead assigned to the School of Rome. The good news was that Ratchet Classic voice actor had switched from Milan to Rome back then. The bad news is that literally everyone else had to be recasted. This was done. This was done without mentioning this to the voice actors of the School of Milan, which promptly had them being pretty much pissed off after all these years of consistency and being treated nicely by Sony. So they basically sort of boycotted and said that if there are any future titles, we're not gonna decide to revoice the characters. And two, they hired some young Italian YouTubers to do some of the voice acting.
God.
As you can imagine, they're not really good at that.
There is so much controversy regarding the Ratchet & Clank reimagining both game and movie.
Well, fortunately,
Well, I mean, at least the game was fun.
well, yeah, no, don't get me wrong.
Okay,
Gameplay-wise, the game is perfect. The game is good. The game is good
Oh.
from a gameplay point. It's really fun and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, it is.
Might be.
The problem is like, well, again, Ratchet & Clank was something that people got for the whole experience, not just the gameplay. I mean,
It also doesn't help, Jova, the fact that similar to practically almost all Sony franchises at this point, my country gets the full localization treatment. So there is some sort of, fan base built upon, all these franchises completely localized even in the voice acting. First of all, we prefer consistency when it's possible, less recycling possible, less changing between titles of voice actors. But here's the thing, I'm a person that normally, for a problem situation like this, can potentially just say, well, whatever, I'll just play the game in English, or it's a Japanese game in Japanese. If I don't like one dub, I will switch to the other, and I can live with that. Fortunately, a lot of actual people in my country tend to be stiff in that kind of regard, and if they don't find the game sporting, the consistency with the voice acting, can become relatively petty and basically not play the game as a result of that, which can potentially cut them off still from a decent experience that they can enjoy. Unfortunately, this is one of the problems of production value that can make it or break it to part of a fan base.
Yeah.
And I do believe that, at least for the movie, Sony kind of did screw the pooch here.
On the subject of voice acting, the most confusing that I can think of was when they redubbed Gex's lines in our
American
versions. Yeah. No, British actually.
Yeah, no, there's a difference between the English version that is in the UK and the one in America.
the
Yeah,
British
because,
redub is pretty bad from what I've seen.
Actually,
I like
Jova, I
it.
heard the opposite. Basically, it's a cross situation. The UK
Different
doesn't
cultures.
like the UK doesn't like the American one, and America doesn't like the British one.
Yeah, from what
Go
I can
figure.
tell, from what I understand, Brits don't really like the American one because they find the American one annoying.
Well, I guess America doesn't like the UK, the British one, because it's too soft-spoken, I guess.
Well, in the second game at least, in the third one, he's got a rather different voice.
All right.
That's
Alright, then.
inconsistent.
Fortunately for Sony Portugal, they used all the same actors from the games in general for both movie and reimagining. So it ended up going as usual, service as usual.
Anyway,
Here in
anyway,
Britain, we just use the American voices for stuff anyway. So
anyway, we'll see you for the next part of our Ratchet and Clank discussion. Over some Microsoft project.
yeah, what's the
Starring
Gears of War?
Marcus from the Gears of War franchise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
is Gears of War? I've forgotten.
All right, see ya.